Good morning and welcome to today's presentation from the Sindikat Biciklista. My name is Marissa Courtright. I am a volunteer with the Sindikat Biciklista, the cyclists union in Croatia. So our plan for today is to start with a presentation. We'll move on to some questions and discussion, and then we'll gather for food and gift packs after that. So the purpose of this presentation is to talk about how to stay safe and keep what you earn when you are riding as a delivery driver in Zagreb. We're going to start with where should you be riding? There's lots of different options in Zagreb. Where could you be riding? Ideally, you are riding in a bike lane. This is the safest option for you and the option where you are least likely to be fined for riding. Wherever possible, ride in a bike lane. If there are no bike lanes, try to ride in the street. This is often the next safest option. If you cannot ride in the bike lane because there isn't one, or you cannot ride in the street, and you have to ride on the sidewalk where there is no bike lane, that's the least good option. That's the least safe option. So we'll go from bike lane to street to sidewalk and talk about riding in each of these three different places. Riding in the bike lane. Why are we riding in the bike lane? This is the safest place to ride. You have the priority here. No one else should be in this lane. Legally, if there is a bike lane, you must ride in it. Bike lanes can look different in different parts of the city. In some places, which I don't have. The bike lane is separated physically, so the bike lane will be lower than the sidewalk that it's next to. We have the bike lane on the left, which is physically separated from the sidewalk on the right. You must ride in the left lower part, which is the bike lane. Even if it's not marked and doesn't say, this is a bike lane, this is where you are intended to ride. In other parts of the city, the bike lane will be painted onto the sidewalk. And sometimes there will be an icon that says, this is a bike lane, you should ride here. Ride on the left side in the bike lane and not on the right, which is where pedestrians are walking. Bike lanes can also be painted on the street, and you have the priority on that painted part of the street. It's really important to not ride in the wrong direction in the bike lane, especially in bike lanes in the center. This is the Zeleni Val, the green wave, where cars have green lights or green traffic signals for a long period of time. This is a really dangerous place to ride in the wrong direction because cyclists who are riding in the correct direction have to veer out of the way or move out of the way for you, and it will be very dangerous for them and for you. Do not ride in the wrong direction in a bike lane. You're making yourself unsafe and other cyclists unsafe. Unfortunately, there are sometimes cars who are parked in the bike lane. If you find a car parked in the bike lane, you'll have to go around it. You have to be very careful when leaving the bike lane, entering the car lane, and re-entering the bike lane. Slow down, look behind you, make sure that a car isn't going to come and pass you, and make your way around the car or whatever is blocking the bike lane. But do try to use the bike lane and do try to use it in the right direction. If there is no bike lane, try to ride in the street. Why do we ride on the street? Or where do we ride on the street? There are streets that are less busy than major streets. Maybe there's only one lane of traffic in either direction. And some streets are intended for bicycles to ride on the street. They will have a little icon that indicates this is where bikes should be riding. They might also say this is a 30 kilometer per hour zone, so cars should go slow and bikes should be safer on the street here. Please try to ride on the street in these scenarios. It's usually the safest place for you and not on the sidewalk. Cars should expect that you will be there more often when they see these signs. There will be other streets where there is no sidewalk to ride on. So in this scenario, say you were riding on the sidewalk ends. There's no other place for you to ride. You should be riding in the street. It's really unsafe for the pedestrians in this scenario for you to try to ride on the sidewalk because they have only a very small amount of space to be walking. So wherever possible, try to ride on the street for the safety of the pedestrians. The other thing to keep in mind when you're riding on the street is where are the cars parked? The good thing about riding on the right-hand side of the street here is that there are no parked cars. Sometimes you're riding in the street and there are cars parked on the right-hand side. You need to be really careful that they don't open their door into you while you are riding. So leave some space between you and a parked car wherever possible. Ideally, you are riding in a bike lane or on the street, but there are going to be scenarios where you find yourself riding on the sidewalk. The first thing to say is that this is illegal. So ideally, don't do it. If you can avoid it, don't do it. We understand that you will feel unsafe in certain scenarios riding on the street and where there is no bike lane. For instance, next to tram tracks, which can be slippery and otherwise dangerous. This could be a scenario where you don't want to ride in the street, and so you ride on the sidewalk. If you are on the sidewalk, you are a guest. It's really important that you understand pedestrians have the priority. The sidewalk is for them. They are supposed to be there. They don't have another safe place to walk. You need to treat them with respect. Pass them very carefully and very slowly. Do not use a bell or otherwise try to make them get out of your way. Use the bell only to avoid an accident. And in general, when you're riding on the sidewalk, try not to give anyone a reason to hate you. And be especially careful around tram and bus stops where people are getting out of a tram or getting out of a bus all at once because they're not going to be looking for you. So give them a lot of space if you're passing them around a tram or a bus. So let's talk about how to cross the street. If there is a bike lane, ideally you also have a signal, a traffic signal with which you can wait to get a green light and then cross the street. This is the best case scenario. Wait for the green light, pass with the green light for the bike. Sometimes you'll see this on large avenues where you want to cross the avenue and get to the other side. You're waiting with the pedestrians, but you have a signal for the lights, for the cyclists, and for the pedestrians. In a lot of these traffic lights and at a lot of these traffic signals, you need to press a button to get a green light to cross the avenue. Try to press the button and wait for the green light. Don't just wait that there are no cars coming. Wait until you have a green light. This is the safest option for you. Sometimes you'll cross the street and there won't be a traffic signal, but you will have a bike lane that indicates you can cross here. Cars still don't have to yield to you here. They don't have to give you the priority. So make sure before you cross at this kind of intersection that you slow down and check that no one's coming. Check that no one is going to speed through because they might not see you and they might not wait for you. Don't assume that you have the priority. Crossing the street where there is no bike lane, but just a regular pedestrian crossing, you should technically get off of your bike and walk across the street. But if you are going to stay on your bike in this kind of crosswalk, you need to slow down to walking speed. There will be other pedestrians, you might need to move around, pass them very close, very carefully and slowly. If you get off your bike and walk across, you are a pedestrian and cars have to yield to you. This is a safe option. You definitely have the priority in that scenario. If you stay on your bike, you don't have the priority. So it might be faster and safer to actually get off your bike and walk, but just keep in mind that even if you stay on your bike and ride, slow down and check that people are paying attention to you so that you don't have any issues with cars trying to turn. So we've covered where to ride. Ideally, we're riding in the bike lane. We are riding in the street if there is no bike lane, and in very limited scenarios where it's not safe to ride in the street or there is no bike lane, we could ride on the sidewalk, but as a guest and be very wary of pedestrians. How should we be riding? Let's think about how to ride for your safety, for other people's safety, and in order to avoid getting a fine. How can we do that? First, and the most important thing, we're riding in the right direction. This is safer for you, and this is safer for other people. It's also a finable offense if you ride in the wrong direction. Between 30 and 60 euros, you can be fined for riding in the wrong direction. So, generally speaking, the right direction means the right side of the street in the same direction as traffic. That means in the direction that the bike lane is traveling, the arrow is pointing a certain direction. And if you're riding on the sidewalk, also on the right side of the street. So go with the flow in a way. Follow the other people. If you're going in the wrong direction, other people are not going to be able to predict that you're there. It's unsafe for them, and it's unsafe for you. If you are in the wrong direction, you need to yield or give way to other people in the bike lane, other people walking, and other people driving cars. So you need to be extra careful if you're riding in the wrong direction, and ideally you ride in the right direction. When the bike lane has two directions and they're very close together, be sure to ride in the correct direction so that you avoid collisions with other cyclists. Imagine in this scenario that you are on a two-way road. You are bearing to the right, you're sticking to the right. Other people riding bikes are coming at you and they are on your left. So you need to stick to the right in order that people can make it by you on the left. Don't bear left and stay in the wrong direction. In some scenarios, in some places in Zagreb, there are also bike lanes that travel against the flow of traffic. So cars could be traveling towards you, but you have a lane here where you can go in the opposite direction. You need to be careful here, even though you have a bike lane, because cars may not predict that you will be traveling there, because this is still a fairly rare scenario. It can also be very helpful and increase your safety to show other people in traffic, pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers when you are turning. These different hand signals can be used for several scenarios: turning left, turning right, slowing down, and stopping. Turns are the most important thing to indicate, especially if you are riding in the road. This is essentially a turn signal for you as a cyclist, indicating to other people what you are doing. This is also helpful to signal to other cyclists what you are doing. Even if you don't think that someone can see you, there might be someone around you who is going to change their movements based on your turns. So try to get in the habit, especially when you're turning, of signaling left, signaling right. You can also do like this if you want to use your left hand. Signal your turns. This is going to make everyone safer and make you more predictable so that people can react to your turning. I've mentioned several times to ride slowly, especially at crosswalks, especially on the sidewalk, and especially when you're going in the wrong direction. You should not be riding faster than 25 kilometers per hour, particularly if you are in a bike lane or on a sidewalk. In those scenarios, you need to be traveling much more slowly. If you want to ride faster than 25 kilometers per hour, you need to be in the road. If you're riding an e-bike and you're accelerating really quickly, other people cannot predict your movements and they won't be able to get out of your way in time, or the chance of a collision is much higher based on you riding too fast. So it's illegal for e-bike riders to ride faster than 25 kilometers per hour, but it's also just unsafe for other people that you're riding so quickly, so fast around them. So keep the speed low. I know it's hard when you're trying to make deliveries and move around the city quickly, but it's just really unsafe. And if you get in a crash, that'll make your life a lot harder. So to that end, it's also very important to ride well lit. Now, in the winter period, it's dark when you're doing most of your deliveries, so it's really important to have both lights on the front of your bike and on the rear of your bike. The lights on the front of your bike should be white, and the lights on the rear of your bike should be red. So these lights are not specifically for you to be able to see where you're going, but they're intended for other people to see you. That you are visible is the most important thing with these lights, especially for cars to be able to see you, and for other cyclists to be able to see you. These lights that you have on can either be constant, that they don't flash, or they can flash, so that they attract even more attention, either one. If you don't have lights on your bike, you can be fined from 30 to 60 euro. We at the Sindikat Biciklista have been counting bicycle lights for upwards of 10 years. Do bicyclists have lights? Are they the correct lights, front and rear? Are they a white light at the front? Are they a red light at the back? We count the gender of the rider. Are they a man or a woman? And lately we've been counting, are they a delivery rider or a non-delivery rider? And with that information, we have been developing a set of results, data looking at how many riders are lit up over the winter, how many riders are making themselves visible. And last year, in 2024, we see that overall, regular or non-delivery drivers were much better lit in terms of having both a front light and a rear light. Almost 40% had both lights, while close to 43% had no lights at all. So we have a big problem even for non-delivery drivers in not being well lit. Delivery drivers did very poorly in having both a front and a rear light, and most of you had, or the largest category of you had only a front light, but still 35% had no lights at all, which is a really dangerous situation. So we have to encourage you to please use both a front and a rear light. This is the safest option for you, and this is the scenario in which you are least likely to be fined. In addition to having a front light and a rear light, it is mandatory to have some kind of reflector on your bike, on your person. So your bike may already have reflectors on the wheels. They may also have them on the seat post or on the handlebars. It's really helpful, even when you don't have lights, or in addition to your lights, to have these reflectors as they increase your visibility. You may also have a strap on your pants to keep your legs visible, or to keep your pant leg tucked in from your chain. And you may also already have a reflective strip on your backpack or on your jacket. All of these things are really good. The more reflectors you have, the more reflective you are, the safer you are. Headphones. Legally, you are allowed to have one earbud in your ear, but you cannot have both ears covered or have both headphones in at the same time. If you have both of your ears covered or two headphones in, this is punishable with a fine of 30 to 60 euros. Further, if you're listening to something that takes your mind off of what you're doing, off of where you're going, and can distract you. So please be aware that you can be fined for wearing headphones, and that in general, you should try to be as aware as possible of your surroundings and not listen to anything if you can help it. Wearing a helmet. Do you need to wear a helmet? No, legally you do not need to wear a helmet. Only children under the age of 16 are required to wear helmets. But if you already have a helmet, it's advisable to wear it. It's better to wear it than to carry it around with you. So wear your helmet. So when you're not riding, you're taking a break from riding and you need to lock your bike up, try to use a good lock. This will help you avoid your bike being stolen and having to get a new one. A good lock is a U-lock in the shape of a U, and less good locks that we would not recommend are combination locks or locks that are just much more flimsy or weak. And ideally, you are locking your bike to something sturdy and metal. Lock it to a bike post. If you have to leave it outside at night, if you can leave it inside, that's the best scenario. But lock the frame first and foremost. And if you have other things that you can lock with, lock both your wheels as well. So let's recap. How should we be riding so that we stay safe, we keep other people safe, and that we keep what we earn? We are using front and rear lights. We are using reflectors. We are signaling when we're turning. We're wearing a helmet, and we're locking our bike with a U-lock. What we are not doing, or trying to avoid being fined and avoid causing collisions with other people, is riding in the wrong direction, wearing headphones in both ears, riding without lights, and riding too fast, riding faster than 25 kilometers per hour. So if you can ride well lit, if you can ride in the right direction, if you can ride with an idea of telling other people where you're going and making sure that your movements are predictable, you're the most likely to be safe. And you're not likely to be fined. But if you're riding in the wrong direction, if you're riding in a way that people can't see you and can't predict what you're going to do, you're more likely to find yourself in a collision and you're more likely to get fined. So this is really important to keep in mind for avoiding getting a fine and avoiding getting hurt. But if you do find yourself in a crash, in an accident, what do? First thing you should do is try to stay calm. Check that everyone who is involved is okay. Check that no one has any serious injuries. If there are damages to property, a bike, a car, your person, take photographs of them. And try to reach an agreement with the other people in the collision about how to proceed from there. Does someone owe something does someone owe something to someone else? Try to resolve it at the spot, and if you cannot make an agreement with the other person, call the police to intervene on your behalf. And if you're hurt, go to the hospital for medical care. Hopefully, there won't be any accidents because now we know how to ride safely, but let's leave it there and say thank you. Do we have any questions?
They don't use the lights on their bikes. Is it because they don't have lights, or because they are, I don't know, they don't have money to buy it? Or it's something, because on bikes, a whole bunch of people I see without any kind of lighting. So, it costs like a couple euros, so they try to figure out what is the reason why they are not using anyone, or you have any kind of light on it, Thanks.
Well, we've had already several actions like small gatherings where we actually shared lights and gave lights away to delivery riders or other people together with the police. So I would say that this action the problem with the lack of lights is not really a problem. Just like you said, like they're extremely cheap. I don't believe that they don't have enough money to buy at least the cheapest possible lights, because I'm sure they know that they must have them. People usually say that they have a problem of not the delivery riders, but others, of constantly putting lights on and taking lights off their bikes, because usually they would get stolen if they leave it on, which I don't really consider to be true, because it takes the same amount of time as locking your bike. It's probably less than 10 seconds, so this is just an excuse. for the lack of lights. I would say the biggest problem here, especially with the delivery riders, is that their companies, the employers, are not giving them lights, or they only give them lights for the first time. But lights do wear off. They tend to break eventually, and they don't get replaced. Imagine if you have a taxi driver who has a taxi without lights. It shouldn't even be possible. So I would say the biggest blame is on the companies that don't enforce, don't control, and don't give enough lights to their riders, because I don't think there is a real reason for them not to have them, other than not being forced to have them. It's easier just not to have to worry about this. They don't get penalized by the police often enough, and they don't get motivated by their employers to have them.
Because somebody is really repairing the bike, so if he repairs the tire, the wheel, I don't know, the chain ring or something, you're also repairing the light, and it's like...
It is mandatory, and it should be so simple. We also have, so for the last 2 or 3 years, we have this category of delivery riders in our lights counter, and unfortunately the numbers are not improving. They're staying the same for the last few years, and we have sent these results to all of the delivery employers, and unfortunately we have not seen any actions on their side. Even the results from this year so far, we've been counting the data for about a month, and there is no significant improvement whatsoever in the number of lights on delivery riders.
It's not a question, it is a remark regarding speed limit of 25 kilometers per hour. Maybe people don't know what is 25 kilometers per hour because they think the car can go in the city, the car can go 50, 60, 70, 80. But with the bike, 25 is way too high, too high speed, because I know the speed of I'm on the bike. When I'm on the bike, I know what is my average speed. And in the city, 15 or 16, maximum 17 kilometers per hour is really the speed that is maybe sometimes too high. Maybe on some parts of the city streets are maybe 20 is okay, but in the normal circumstances, I think 25. Everybody's talking about 25 because that's in the law, maybe, but that's too much. When you can see some electric bike of some delivery guy who's going too fast, that's not 25. That's less than 25, and it is still too fast. That's my remark. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to emphasize here one very important thing, which unfortunately I don't know if there is any way to resolve this besides the police having quite a big action, which is that most of the delivery riders, I don't know the percentage, but I'm sure that if you look at them a bit, you would come to the same conclusion, have illegal bikes. So they have illegal electric bikes which do not require pedaling to speed up. By law, you are allowed to have electric assistance, so a pedelec in your vehicle, in your electric bike, up to 25 kilometers an hour. But this always requires you to pedal. And if you don't, then it's basically moped. Most of the riders, delivery guys, have electric bikes which speed up to 40 kilometers an hour without pedaling. This is strictly illegal. And unfortunately, the police so far has done nothing to kind of stop this behavior. And just like you're saying, I also agree that especially in the city center, 25 is too much. Maybe in some large avenues or in Greenway, it's fine. But when you speed up from 20 to 35 without pedaling in a matter of a couple of seconds, this is like riding a motorcycle. And I'm sure that we have to find a way to solve this and to actually stop them from using these illegal vehicles, because it's quite dangerous.